Did we survive the day, my fellow zombies? Being emotionally weirded out and then sleep deprived where you cannot sleep at all? Yours truly is over here again. A little past midnight, trying to check the news feeds, see what comes up. It pisses me off even further. Not the national news, but the local news. Summertime usually sees a lot more numbers when it comes down for violence, regardless if it's using weaponry or using body parts. What gets to me sometimes is when people get pummeled and then try to blame the other person for it. I'm not going to quote statistics. I generally don't have that information on hand. But personal accounts are a different thing altogether. I was reminded online regarding situations like pummeling. And unfortunately, I've seen too many of that going on. And especially when evidence of foul play is put online for the world to see, for the world to react. A reminder of things that even I had been a witness. Case in point, I used to live in an apartment complex back in Lancaster days, or a decade, nearly a decade and a half, I guess. Almost. And my brother was making friends with a lot of our neighbors over there. I was still working my butt off over at Walmart and taking care of Ma. Dave was doing the same thing too, but he actually had more contact with some of the neighbors than I had. Well, some of that had to be ready for Mama. We ran into someone who pleaded with my brother to protect her, bring her in the house where she felt safe to tell us a story about domestic abuse happening. Her husband was out beating the living daylights out of her. David had called the cops, had them come over to take a report. She was taken over to a battered women's shelter after grabbing some things. Apparently the husband was arrested. We didn't hear anything after that. My mother, a long time ago, had been a victim in her youth. And because of experiences she had with my brother's father at one time, and not to mention a lecherous relative, she really had issues regarding who she can trust and not to trust, and had to make it more adamant and explicit to her boys, which was me and my brother, of what we should do and what not to do regarding women. We're supposed to be treating them like queens, or we're supposed to be treating them with respect. We do not raise our voices. We do not get angry. And if we happen to get angry, we get outside and get rid of the anger. And then we apologize, and then we apologize again, and then we continue to apologize until we're sure that the other party accepts it. And then apologize one more time. We were not to get into any confrontation. We can get into a terse argument about it, but not when blows are going to be done. That was a no-no. Even in the state of California and also across the country, there are laws against hitting women. There are laws, and there are repercussions. In regards to my mother's situation with my brother's father a long time ago, he had beaten the living crap out of my mother because he was drunk and he didn't know what he was doing at the time. He did it a few times to her, and she had enough. She fought back when he fell asleep in his bed. She sewed him up and did a sock party on him. Packed up some clothing, took my brother, and left. Well before I was born. My brother was telling me the story that Ma told him. Ma never did tell me much. I had to get the stories directly from my brother, as much as he remembered. And he remembered some stuff. But he also remembered the humiliation and the feelings that Ma told him, how she felt being denigrated that way. And she had to make it clear to my brother. And one thing, my mom never talked to me much about this stuff in the first place. She wasn't comfortable talking to me about things like that because she wasn't quite sure how I was going to be able to deal with it or not. Whether or not if I was mentally or emotionally prepared for this stuff. Because I never showed that much interest in dating or getting a girlfriend. No, I didn't get any boyfriends either. I wasn't even trying. I was being more aloof and more introvert than anything else. I was more uncomfortable with my own nature as it is. So I wasn't able to make as much friends or try to treat them better when I actually had them. I was still uncomfortable with people. It may have been things that happened in my youth that turned me into a turtle of sorts. Likes his own shell better than anything else, but feels his shell is a lot tougher than the world, and therefore gives more protection. I always head to my bedroom, and I always head to my thoughts, and I stayed away, I shied away. I never gave the indication to Mama that I could have been a better human being. I could have been what people wanted me or expected me to be, including her. But I hadn't. Well, I tried to respect it. She was confused as hell about it. During those times, growing up, I was still taught to respect young ladies, including girls that I was mingling about with. If this was in high school, I'd get everybody. I stayed the hell away from everybody. I had very few friends who were also socially awkward, but felt connected to each other. I wish I had felt that connection. I failed in that one for a long while now. I still couldn't feel like I was part of anything during that time. So, nothing happened between me and young ladies. Nothing. Because of my insistence of becoming an introvert at times. I think I had some lady friends that are still looking at me and wondering whether or not if I'm all right or not. And truth be told, a lot of things I had gone through I was never comfortable with and couldn't even talk about it to my own mother. I didn't even have a father to talk about it. I had a big brother going through the same stuff, and we hardly ever talked about the stuff we're going through. So, you talk about being socially awkward in a lot of situations. But it was drilled into me that despite the fact I may be socially awkward, I never went out to harm another human being, especially if there was some kind of weird ass relationship I might have gotten myself into. I never had. I would treat the ladies with a hell of a lot of respect. There was a couple of dates I had when I was a teenager. And yes, teenagers do go on dates. And it was a Herculean leap for me to do so. One was, actually, about maybe two or three. One was dealing with, maybe a little more than that. Halloween era, back in the 80s. A neighbor friend of my mother's. My mother hung out with a few other people. Their daughter was a shy girl. Pretty, homely, and introvert. She wasn't outgoing. She was exactly like me. Ma and the mother had to conspire of getting a date going between us two. Ma was notorious of doing that to my brother all the time, and all of his dates became sabotaged afterwards. He never did trust Ma becoming a matchmaker for him. For me, it was the hardest damn thing because I never showed any interest in girls, even though I might have been. I just kept myself aloof. Not like I'm special and I'm better than anybody else. No, it's like you sulk a little bit and you're watching from the distance. You stay in the back and you keep watching ahead of you. You stay away from some of the people, and if you happen to be mingling with some other young ladies who looked very attractive to a teenager, socially shy and awkward as hell, and hardly ever speak to them, except maybe an occasional hello, how you doing? But since the eyes weren't roving in my area and I wasn't exactly the most attractive nerd around, I held myself in that kind of low esteem of myself. I'm saying this about myself because if I was ever in that kind of a situation regarding relationships. I didn't see myself continuing further. Oh, the date that I had regarding the Halloween thing was one of my mother's setups there. Didn't do too well. Oh, we enjoyed a nightmare, factory of nightmares situation going on. And we walked through a maze and we got scared shitless, and then we got home to our own respective homes and didn't see each other ever again. Because we were that uncomfortable with each other. We felt it. Even when we got each other, we came to each other's homes because Ma was going to be, making friends with everybody else. But I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable. So naturally, the whole damn thing just, you know, continues on throughout the years. I don't feel comfortable, except in my own little skin, and I'm watching everything and everybody. But I do feel more uncomfortable, especially when I'm seeing friends that I've made regarding ladies who are being turned into pinatas. Huh, I'm not using Spanish words. Okay, how about a punching bag? Would that work? It upsets me a great deal. My friend got revenge. Cops, police reports, records. She fought back. I'm grateful she had found the strength to do so. As for the other situations I was in, as a younger teenager, a double date my brother would go on, and I got dragged into it, and dragging a lady friend of mine. We were in our 20s, early 20s. Went over to Not Scary Farm. It was fun going over to Not Scary Farm, but if I had a choice of getting out of my skin, I probably would, but I wasn't. I just scared to death of everything during that time. Oh, she was nice. She still is a nice lady to this day. I still keep in contact with her. Social media, internet, wonderful tools at times. But I haven't developed the skills necessary to be that much of a mature person where I can actually form relationships. I had one young lady who fancied me a great deal in high school and scared the living crap out of me. She was that forward, and my mother liked it. I didn't, but I kept her as a good friend. But she did harbor feelings for me that I couldn't return. I found she had found another person to fall in love with, and about a decade or two, I heard that she passed away. Kind of broke my heart a bit. I was crying on that one. The thing is, there was a conversation she had with me on the phone. We kept in contact every once in a while. She did ask me, and there was a long silence. I've got the emotional maturity of a rock, basically. I liked her as a friend, but I could not say to her that I loved her, as a man and woman should. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Too much the introverted side of me. Every time there's been an online presence coming up and trying to snuggle, as they try to do, it's block, 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 block. Constantly fighting. I don't trust. I fear too much. I haven't let go, and there was one woman that kind of siphoned everything from me and my brother that I had said, that's enough. I had enough of it. So I didn't. I kept myself distance from everybody. And that means everybody. I'm jealous and I'm envious sometimes when people are enjoying themselves and they're smiling like crazy and they're trying to say that they enjoy things. Because I haven't given myself the permission, the luxury, or the time to do so. And I should have. And more regrets pop in. Instead of going out there for the gusto, I kick back in the back of the cave, not enjoying the sunrise or sunsets. I'm just having my back to the entrance and just looking at the cave walls, thinking that they're all safe and stuff. Then you want to hear about people with relationship problems. Almost every night around this time, they go and yell after each other. Been doing this thing for years, since my brother and I had this place. They just don't know how to shut up. And me insinuating myself. It was only one time when we heard glass breaking and furniture busting. That's when I had called the cops. I had to. If there was going to be any domestic violence happening, I wanted the cops involved. I can try being a friend to neighbors and to others. I got no grievances. Not even with one particular neighbor that seems to have a burp his ass. But the thing is, this isn't like a dating thing I'm putting out. Domestic violence happens every single day. It doesn't matter if the guy's going to get it or the woman's going to get it or both are going to get it. It's still domestic violence. I'm not a big fan of it either. Who's supposed to be? I saw where it can go. I have to do whatever I can. There's usually so much leeway before a boundary is crossed, and then I have to get the reporting going. That's why I always keep an ear on my neighbors. Whatever's going on, I need to keep track. Call me a busybody at this point. I'm not a good catch for anybody, by the way. Not for any woman, anyway. Poorer than anything else. Ugly as hell. I'm a whale on a beach. I never did put out videos concerning about, well, I'm a man and I should have this. No thanks. I'm just surviving the best I can right now as it is, and I already got enough issues as it is going on in this damn skull. I don't need to scare the living crap out of people over that one. It's not that I have personalities. I just may have some. All this yelling going from my neighbors. The things I'm surprised about is how come the other neighbors haven't jumped in? Do they got this treaty going on with this group over here? I try to keep my logs as quiet as I can during the midnight hours leading up to the morning. But even something like this concerns the living crap out of me. The thing that scares the hell out of me. If somebody's going to be bringing a gun and using it, that's what scares the hell out of me. The first time I hear a pop from a damn handgun or a shotgun, that's it. 911 on this. I'm not taking any damn chances. Are you talking about violence and domestic issues? I'm dealing with a neighborhood over here that doesn't seem to understand that talking to people is one thing. Yelling and screaming and threatening people left and right, that's only adding up to a point where you're going to be calling 911 on their ass. Not just for the peace and quiet, but maybe you can save your neighbor's life. A lot of people are afraid of doing that around here. Drop dime. Or at least use a cell phone. I'll keep my ears open on this one. I'll let you know what goes on.